yung inflammatory cells mo from one portal tract to another. We call that bridging necrosis.
M1033.
It's forming bridges. Okay, is it possible for you to have the inflammatory infiltrates inside the lobule? Oo, very possible. Kasi as I have said, ang sinusoids mo are blood vessels. They're capillaries. So, pwede ka rin magka-inflammatory infiltrates doon. Pwede ka rin magkaroon ng maraming inflammatory infiltrates. Pagka marami ka ng inflammatory infiltrates, anong susunod doon? Mag-heal siya by fibrosis. Tama? Hindi siya mag-heal by regeneration. Pwede siya mag-heal by regeneration in some parts, pero yung mga necrotic area mo, mag-heal siya by fibrosis. It will not heal by regeneration. So, what will you have? You will have, eventually, you will have cirrhosis of the liver. And that accounts for the nodular configuration of the liver seen grossly. The trouble with fibrosis in the liver, napakita ko na yung slide na sa inyo kanina, no? Pag pinopos nila yung mga hepatocytes na may focus, hepatocytes. Ayun. Steatosis. Ayun.
Marami-rami.
Okay, look at that. That's bridging necrosis from one portal tract to another. This is a portal tract, correct? Those are inflammatory infiltrates. This is piecemeal necrosis.
Steatosis.
Central vein. Wala.
Normal pa tayo.
May necrosis na. Portal tract with piecemeal necrosis.
Steatosis.
Here you have hepatocytes with lipid inclusions. Fatty change, reversible injury, okay? Also called steatosis, can be controlled by diet and exercise or using up the lipid accumulated in the liver cells. Okay? They're not fat cells, they're hepatocytes with lipid inclusions. But you call them fatty change of the liver.
Saka na tayo.
Okay.
Immune. May cell polyps na pakita mo na.
Di ba? Ay, malapit na, malapit na.
Neoplasia pa.
Ay, madali lang. For immune, you only have 4 slides. Tama? One of them is this. It is edematous. It has an edematous stroma. It's lined by lining. That's an edematous stroma. The lining is pseudostratified columnar with goblet cells and cilia. So that's the respiratory epithelium. You have a fibromyxoid edematous stroma over here, and you have inflammatory infiltrates in these polypoid structures. Higher magnification will show you lots of these bilobe inflammatory infiltrates with eosinophilic cytoplasm. Those are eosinophils. These are inflammatory polyps, and it is caused by allergic rhinitis. Okay, that's the usual cause. You have an allergic rhinitis, and that's why you have lots of eosinophils in those polypoid structures. These are inflammatory nasal polyps. Hypersensitivity type 1. Model of hypersensitivity type 1. Lots of eosinophils.
Okay. Next.
Yung chronic granulomatous inflammation ng lungs, delayed hypersensitivity reaction, correct? Hypersensitivity type 4.
Parotid.
Okay, what is the tissue? Tissue. Meron kang ganyan at meron kang ganito. The fat cells is a pathology. The presence of the fat cells is a pathology in itself. Okay, this is the histology. What are these? Modified columnar cells forming glandular acini. Mukha ng thyroid gland naman. Kailangan mo ma-recognize yung tissue na to kasi ito lang ang bibigay na ganitong tissue sa practical exams na to. Ito lang ang paraan ko para maituro sa inyo to. And lead you to the answer. This is the parotid gland. Those are serous acinar cells. Those are serous acini. And this is the duct tube. Okay? Parotid gland to. The pathology, besides the fatty infiltration, and that's a pathology in itself, you have fatty infiltration of the parotid gland. Beside that,
Mali yung sinasabi sa description. Focus ka ng ano.
Nanap.
so pag nakita nyo itong tissue na to sa practical exams nyo next week, ang sabi sa laboratory guide nyo, it is a module of, it is an example of coming from a patient with SLE down. SLE or systemic lupus erythematosus. Hypersensitivity type ano? Type ano yung SLE? Type 3. Okay, antigen antibody complexes. What you're supposed, those are tonsils yan eh. Kaya mali yung name. What you're supposed to see here are inflammatory infiltrates, mainly lymphocytic infiltrates, surrounding the blood vessels.
Ano yan eh? Ano yan eh? Toxic yan.
Dito to. Mga asin na to. May distraction of yung asin.
So, pag pinakita sa inyo yung salivary gland, ang isipin nyo na lang SLE. Okay? Type 3 hypersensitivity reaction. Ang i-recognize mo dapat si salivary glands, yung acinar structures at saka yung ductus. Fibrous tissue band. Maghanap ka ng fibrous tissue band na may lymphocyte.
Ito. Ito ba?
Tonsil yan. May lining yan.
Ayan.
Look at this area here. You have an area with small blood vessels and you have lymphocytic infiltrates. This is a blood vessel, and you have lymphocytic infiltrates in the area. These are the serous acinar cells. This is a ductule. Okay? If they focus this, it is the model used for SLE in the laboratory. This is the only slide showing you a hypersensitivity type 3.
Yung sa lungs, huwag na, nakita na nila yun. Yung sa skin na lang.
Skin na lang.
35 na, pako nga yung 35.
Tapos neoplasia na tayo. Swing na tayo. Swing na tayo.
Oh.
Meeting ako na dun.
Ha?
Sa medit.
Okay.
So this is another portion of the skin. Epidermis and dermis. Okay? But what you see here are inflammatory infiltrates splattered in some areas. If you look at it under higher magnification, you have lots of lymphocytes, and these are blood vessels. Okay? Blood vessel, blood vessel, blood vessel, and you have lymphocytic infiltrates. The history will tell you that this patient has applied cosmetic ointment, tapos nagkaroon siya ng itchiness dun sa area. This is chronic dermatitis,
Okay.
which is allergic in nature.
May apply siya
Let's
na.
go to neoplasia.
38.
We're about finished. Okay. The same ductules you saw in your histology in the resting mammary gland, pareho. Higher magnification will show you that you have ductules lined by ductules lined by epithelial cells sa loob, tapos sa baba may myoepithelial cells ka. Ito yung layer ng myoepithelial cells. Okay? Epithelial cells, tapos meron ka pang apocrine snouts dun sa iba. You still remember your apocrine snouts? There. This is the layer of the epithelial cell, and this is the myoepithelial cell. Is there something wrong with the ductule? None. It's normal. Okay. The problem is it is very much proliferating, and the stroma is highly fibrous. Okay? Here you have myxoid degeneration in some areas. You have these ductules proliferating against a fibrous stroma. You are in neoplasia. How will you term this? What is the nomenclature? Glandular structures, benign. Adenoma. Okay? Fibrous tissue, aden. Fibroadenoma. Okay? Benign. Halos parehong talaga ng resting mammary gland, pero it forms a tumor because of the rapid proliferation of the tissue as compared to the normal tissue. Altered pa rin yung genetic mo, pero hindi ka malignan. Okay? It's a benign tumor.
10:30.
Tapos, do you still remember the gross?
10:52.
Yung picture ng gross, pwedeng ipakita sa inyo sa projection exam. Solid, bulging cut surface, nodular configuration, puti. Well delineated yung borders. It is speaking of a benign lesion. Okay, here you have a tissue coming from the colon. Apparently, it's a polypoid tissue. What is seen here is what part or what layers are seen. That's just the mucosa layer. You don't see the muscularis mucosa. You don't see the muscular layer. You don't see the submucosa, and you don't see the adventitial layer. However, some of the glands, comparing it with this normal gland here, some of the glands show you hyperchromasia of the nuclei and increased nucleocytoplasmic ratio. Okay? Those are dysplastic changes. That's dysplastic and this is normal. Okay? Look at the architecture. Scan. It forms glandular structures, tubular structures, tissue of
57
origin,
nga.
glandular epithelium.
57
It
po.
is benign, although it has dysplastic changes. This is an adenoma. Specifically, because of the architecture, you call it a tubular adenoma. It is a pre-malignant condition. You already have dysplasia. Okay? This is the only slide of adenoma you have taken up for this particular modules for the first shifting. But also be aware that you have two other models of an adenoma in the colon. You have a venous adenoma and a tubulovenous adenoma. All of them, together with the tubular adenoma, will show you these plastic changes, and as such, they are pre-malignant conditions because they already have dysplasia. Okay? Once they breach the vascularis mucosa, it is considered as malignant kasi kinain na niya yung nag-invade na siya sa deeper tissues. Okay? A venous adenoma has more propensity to becoming malignant than a tubular adenoma. Okay. Amongst the three, venous yung pinaka-suspectyoso ka na magiging malignant. Tapos, ang susunod sa kanya, tubulovenous, yung last na pwede pa rin maging malignant, si tubular adenoma. Ang pinakita lang sa inyo for this shifting period, si tubular adenoma. Pag ganito yung pinakita sa inyo na tissue, dapat alam nyo, hindi naman necrotic eh. Ano ba yung nakita nyo mga intestine, yung mga pinakita ko sa inyo? Yung isa yung may hemorrhagic necrosis na may hemorrhagic infarct. Okay? Blockage ng SMA. Red infarct. Eh ito, wala naman siyang hemorrhagic necrosis, di ba? Nakikita niyo yung lining. Nakikita mo these plastic changes. O tubular adenoma to have pre-malignant condition. But it's now considered as benign. Pero, alam mo na pwede siyang maging malignant. Meron kang dysplasia.
Adenocarcinoma.
Okay, this also came from the colon, but apparently, the layer we are in now is the muscularis externa, the muscular layers. You even have a portion here with the Auerbach's plexus. Okay? Tissue of origin. Anong tissue of origin niya? Is it epithelial or mesenchymal? Ito ang neoplasia mo. Is it epithelial or mesenchymal? Ano ba? Tissue of origin is epithelial or mesenchymal? Mesenchymal. Ano sa mesenchymal? Buto, cartilage, taba, yun ang mga mesenchymal tissues mo. Fibrous tissue, buto, cartilage, taba, smooth muscle, skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, yun ang mga mesenchymal. Dugo, lymph node, yan ang mga mesenchymal tissue mo. Saan nanggaling to? Mukha bang buto? Cartilage, taba, fibrous tissue, smooth muscle, skeletal muscle, mukha bang puso? Eh ano yan? Kung may mesenchymal yan. Nagutin tayo, para makumita pa. Mga palimping kayo, epithelial yan. Ano sa epithelial? Columnar, transitional, squamous, or glandular? Yun lang ang glandular, it forms glands, right? So epithelial forms glands. It's invading, the glands are invading the muscles. Nakakita na kayo ng normal intestinal tissue na may gland sa muscle. Wala, di ba? sabihin, migrate na yung glandular structures mo papunta sa baba. Paano niya gagawin yun? Kung malignant siya, makaka-invade siya hanggang doon. Okay? Pero na kung transplanted siya to. Ang pakahirap naman na gagawin yun. Okay?
Pero pagbudo.
Ano bang papakita mo dito? Crib reform pattern.
10:28.
Desmoglesia.
Desmoglesia.
Crib reform pattern. Ang crib reform pattern mo, may solid nest of neoplastic cells ka, tapos may butas-butas na maliliit. Kaya yung crib reform. Okay. May nest ka na solid, like that one, tapos may maliliit na butas ka. That's the crib reform pattern. Ang papillary pattern, meron kang fibrobascular core, tapos yung neoplastic cells mo nilaline to fibrobascular core. This is crib reform pattern, solid nest of neoplastic cells, tapos may maliliit na glandular butas. Glandular lumen. Okay, is there dysplasia? This is normal, and these are the neoplastic cells. Is there dysplasia? Of course there is. You have hyperchromasia, increased nucleocytoplasmic ratio. You have abnormal growth patterns. You have invasion. You have increased mitotic activity. Okay, hyperchromasia, pleomorphism, abnormal architecture, invasion, increased mitotic activity. So those things spell malignancy. Okay? You have the crib reform pattern, and some of the neoplastic cells show you an accompanying fibrosis surrounding it. What do you call that? Fibrosis surrounding the neoplastic cells. Kaya yung nakapanyo dun sa labas na color matigas. Dahil doon. Ano yun? Desmoglesia. Tawag doon, ladies and gentlemen. Desmoglesia.
Next.
Aside from that, teka muna, focus mo yan. May pwedeng itanong sa inyo dito. Meron kang neoplastic cells, di ba? Bakit marami kang ganito? Neoplastic cells ba yan? It's an inflammatory stromal reaction. Okay? What is the cause? It's an immunologic response towards the neoplastic cells. Okay? Yan, inflammatory lymphocytic infiltrates. So, meron ka, ang pinakita dito, invasive malignancy adenocarcinoma. Pinakita sa inyo ang crib reform pattern. Pinakita sa inyo ang dysplastic changes. Pinakita, pwedeng tanong sa inyo kung ano-ano yung dysplastic changes. Pwedeng tanong sa inyo ang inflammatory immunologic stromal reaction. Ano pa pwedeng? Pwedeng tanong sa inyo ang desmoglesia. Ano pa pwedeng tanong? Wala na akong maisip.
Yun na, yung
Tissue of origin,
84.
glandular structures,
Papillary.
or the mucosa of the intestine.
Papillary.
Page tayo, normal tissue. Okay. Normal na yan.
Okay, next slide. Tissue. Higher magnification, please. Examine the lining epithelium. Those are cuboidal cells. Kulay violet, di ba? Tapos solid ang color. That's a chromatic form of nucleus. Okay? Ano yung alam nyo na forms ng nuclei na buhay? Pwede ka may pyknotic, yung lump, taka small. Ito, chromatic. Yung isa, yung fish eye nucleus, yung vesicular. Okay, parang balloon, tapos may macronucleolus. Tatandaan niyo yan. Ito, chromatic. These are normal thyroid follicles. Okay? Let's go to the lesion.
Diyan nga, dito na.
This is another form. You saw the cribriform pattern, right? Nakita niyo yung cribriform pattern. Yung cribriform pattern, solid, tapos may maliliit na butas. That's cribriform pattern. Here you have higher buttons. Another pattern of adenocarcinoma. You have a fibrobascular core here. And the neoplastic cells, supposedly coming from the lining of the thyroid follicles, are lining the fibrobascular pores. Here. Okay? Ito yung lining epithelium mo. Ito yung fibrobascular core mo. That's the papillary pattern.
Yung 27.
Okay? Cribriform pattern, alam niyo na. Ito, papillary pattern. Ito yung fibrobascular core, tapos ito yung neoplastic cells mo. Okay? Nandito ako. Fibrobascular core, neoplastic cells. Tingnan nyo yung lining ng neoplastic cells. Dapat chromatic nucleus tayo. Yun ang pinag-usapan natin. Yun ang normal at yun ang ipinowin nyo last year. Eh ano to? Anong type ng nucleus yan? Naging vesicular, di ba? Some of them have nucleoli. There, visible nucleoli. Okay, this is what you call the orphan Annie nucleus. If you see this, you are dealing with a papillary carcinoma of the thyroid. Orphan Annie nucleus, named after little orphan Annie, the sun will come up tomorrow. Okay. Formerly, she was a cartoon character. Bago siya naging musical, cartoon character siya sa comics. Tapos yung pagka-drawing sa mata niya, bilog, parang si Odie. Kaya tinawag na Orphan Annie Eyes kasi hindi pa uso si Odie noon. Nana si Odie sa Garfield. Oh, nakaka-relate na kayo din sa mata niya. Bilog na may nucleolus sa gitna. Hindi pa uso si Odie noong unang panahon, nung inaaral pa ito yung mga pathologists noon. So, si Little Orphan Annie ang dapat bisitahan nila. Okay, this is a neoplasm with neoplasm coming from the uterus. It's a nodular, easily shelled out neoplasm coming from the uterus, well-defined borders. And what do you see? It's the same as the histology of the normal myometrium, correct? It's a bunch of leiomyocytes or smooth muscles arranged in fascicles. The same as what you saw in the normal myometrium. Tama? Do you see pleomorphism, hyperchromaticity, nuclear atypia, increased mitosis, like 10 per 10 high power field? Do you see it? Or are the nuclei uniform? Uniform color, uniform sizes. Kita kayong mitotic figure, uniform ba yan o hindi?
Compare natin dun sa isa.
Ihayag multiplication mo, huwag mo muna i-compare. Giveaway. Kaya mo sumagot. Last line na naman yata.
Hindi. Ito yung last line.
Ah, oo nga.
Ito yun.
Siya na yung last line.
Diameter.
Oh, may maitim ba dyan? Ito, may telophase pa yun.
Hindi. Binay. Kwanto? Kaya mo yung...
Kaya nga, may telophase
Hindi.
yung nakapokus mo kanina.
Yan lang to.
Oh, pare-pareho naman ah. Uniform, di ba? Uniform cell, centrally located, elongated nuclei. No pleomorphism, no hyperchromaticity. Although there are some mitotic figures, they are rare. Less than around 4 per 10 high power fields. So far, I've just seen a telophase. So this is benign, originating from smooth muscles. How will you call it? Leiomyoma. Most common location found? Uterus. Sino na meron nun? Babae lang. Kaya titingnan nyo yung historya, pag may mass, ibig sabihin leiomyoma yun. Pagka buntes, tapos pinakita yung myometrium, hypertrophy. Okay. Oh, look at this. Tissue of origin. Fusiform cells. Centrally located, elongated nucleus. Tissue of origin. Smooth muscles pa rin. Is there...
Mayroon pang may pleomorph.
Okay. Look at the size of the nuclei. Are they uniform?
Alin?
Meron ba isang big type? Is there nuclear pleomorphism? Yes. Is there nuclear hyperchromaticity? Yes. Do you have very large nuclei, giant cell forms? Yes. Okay? So you have nuclear atypia. What is this? What is that? What is this? That's the metaphase. And how about this one? Oh, metaphase. Ito. Ana. Ito. Oh, isang high power field, tatlong agad ang mitosis mo. Do you have nuclear pleomorphism, hyperchromaticity, increased nucleocytoplasmic ratio? You have mitosis, increased number of mitosis, more than 10 per 10 high power field or 1 per high power field. You have nuclear atypia and you have giant cell forms. Masyadong malaki ito comparing to this. Kaya ang tawag dito, giant cell form. Not necessarily multinucleated. Okay? Benign or malignant? Malignant, tissue of origin, smooth muscle, nomenclature. Sarcoma. Okay?
Ay, may lymph node pang isa.
Ano pa?
Lymph node.
Ay, okay.
24.
Last slide.
Normal lymph node. Yung maliit dyan.
Okay, what tissue is this? You have the subcapsular sinus, you have the capsule over here, you have the subcapsular sinus, cortex, medulla, medullary sinuses. Tissue, organ. That's a lymph node, okay? Let's move to another lymph node. This is also a lymph node. That's your capsule. This is your capsular sinus. This is your medulla. What is wrong with the medulla? Let's go into higher magnification. Ganda doon, no? May waveform na mag-uses. Lymphocytes, tama? Ito? Lymphocytes. Ganyan ang size ng lymphocytes mo. Ito ang lymphocytes mo, normal. What are these? May mitosis ka pa. What are these? These are apoptotic cells. This is an abnormal mitotic figure. Apoptotic cell, apoptotic cell. Abnormal mitotic figure, lymphocyte. What are these? Mesenchymal cell or epithelial cell? Mesenchymal, mamimili na naman tayo. Taba ba yan? Taba ba? Sino nagsasabing taba? Buto ba? Cartilage ba? Fibrous tissue ba? Dugo ba yan? Macrophage? Scattergranular? Fibroblast? Ano pa ba? Smooth muscle? Skeletal muscle? Cardiac muscle? Eh, ano message kayo? Walang message kahit sa epithelial. Epithelial, transitional, glandular, or squamous. Transitional, glandular, or squamous.
Higher mag yung kanina. Nakikita doon na bridging. Yung kanina. Okay po.
Ito.
Oo. I-higher mo pa kaya pa.
Isa pa.
Okay, can you see this? Ito yung isang cell, tapos ito yung isang cell, tapos ito yung isang cell, tapos in between may tonofilaments ka. May bridge in between the two cells. Those are heavy lysosomes. That's intercellular bridging. You only see it in one type of epithelium. Saan mo nakikita yun? Stratified squamous epithelium. Okay. The cytoplasm is eosinophilic enough, correct? It is ample in amount and it is eosinophilic. Saan ka nakakita ng maraming eosinophilic cytoplasm? Sa epithelial cell ang ating pinag-uusapan, hindi dugo, mga kababayan. The answer is not eosinophilic. Ang maraming eosinophilic cytoplasm sa epithelial cell are hepatocytes and squamous cells. Okay? For mesenchymal cells, ang maraming eosinophilic cytoplasm, lahat ng types ng muscle, eosinophilic cytoplasm. For epithelial cells, it's just the hepatocytes and the squamous cells. Intercellular bridging can be seen in squamous cells. Normally, can you see squamous cells within a lymph node? Nakakita ka ng squamous cell within a lymph node? No. Paano siya nakarating doon? Does it show you, kanina ang dami kong pinakita mitotic figures. Meron kang nuclear pleomorphism and hyperchromaticity. Ano meron ka? Meron kang squamous cell carcinoma. Pero saan mo siya nakita? Saan mo siya nakita? Anong organ yung pinapakita natin? by virtue of metastasis. So the primary lesion is elsewhere. And it so happens that that primary lesion eroded into a lymphatic channel, and some of the cells went with the lymph flow and lodged into this poor lymph node. And after lodging into the poor lymph node, they multiplied themselves by virtue of mitosis, which you see here. And they formed a secondary growth in that area. You don't call this simply a squamous cell carcinoma. Okay? This is metastatic squamous cell carcinoma. That's the last slide. Carcinomas, okay. Carcinomas usually metastasize via the lymphatics. Sarcomas usually metastasize via hematogenous route.